I want to thank all of you for coming out today. This has been an event that we have been working on for some time, and we are very pleased to be able to talk about LGBTQ and aging in Palm Springs, a city that last year was identified as the best place in America for LGBTQ seniors to retire to, and we are committed to keeping it that way. For those of you who do not know, I'm Lisa Middleton. I'm a member of the Palm Springs City Council, and with Mayor Robert Moon departing from the council a couple of weeks ago, I am very proud to say I am the oldest member of the Palm Springs City Council. So our theme today and throughout is going to be about dignity. One of the things that all of us know is that as we go older, we grow more vulnerable. And then there comes a time where all those little aches and pains and things that we have that we've endured and worked through, we suddenly find ourselves in places where we are particularly vulnerable. And for those of us who have a history in our lifetime of knowing discrimination, the thought of being at our most vulnerable at the time when we don't have the strength to fight back in the way that we have fought back previously is a very scary thing. But the good news is that we are making progress in this community and in communities throughout the country in addressing the needs that we have as seniors. This event would not have happened without the support of a number of individuals. Two organizations, though, that are particularly responsible for today happening. SAGE, who you're going to hear from Michael Adams, their executive director, and very frequently you're going to hear today from Hillary Meyer, who has been working with me through many long hours of preparing for this panel. And Hillary, would you stand up just so that I want to give her a round of applause for all of her work. Other organizations that were instrumental in helping to make this happen were the LGBT Center of the Desert, Equality California, the Desert AIDS Project, City of Palm Springs, and Mizell Senior Center. And lastly, folks that were just incredibly cooperative in putting this event together is the Palm Springs Convention Center. We have a number of really outstanding panelists today, and what we are going to do so is to try to keep this as interactive as we can, but stay focused. We're going to be handing out small cards to everyone. If you have a question for a panelist, we'd ask that you write that question down, and Hillary and I will be going through during all of the panels, collecting cards and moving them up to the moderator of that panel so that the moderator can ask the questions and can make sure that your questions do get answered. At the end of the sessions at noon today, when we're all finished, most of the panelists have agreed to stay until 1 o'clock this afternoon, and we have the room until 1 so that you can ask your questions of any of the panelists one-on-one. And with that, I want to get a little audience participation, and I'm not trying to embarrass anyone, but if you have been out for over 25 years, would you stand up? Look at that. And how many of you have been out for over 30 years? Let's keep standing. And over 40 years? And over 50 years, continue to stand. Let's all give applause to these gentlemen. After 25, 30, 40, and 50 years of being out, we are not going back into the closet in our last years. With that, I would like to introduce Michael Adams, the CEO of SAGE. He's been CEO since 2006. SAGE has been devoted to doing the work of protecting LGBT seniors and enhancing the rights of LGBTQ seniors, and making sure that each and every one of us has an opportunity to live out our lives with dignity, with respect, and with the opportunity to be our best until our last days. Michael.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. It is really wonderful to see so many of you here this morning for this incredible first inaugural LGBTQ Aging Symposium here in Palm Springs. And I want to start by giving just a tremendous, tremendous and heartfelt thank you to Councilmember Lisa Middleton for her extraordinary leadership in this community, in everything that she does, and certainly I would say in particular, it has been a tremendous honor for SAGE to partner with the council member in organizing this program. I also would like to give a shout out to a board member of SAGE in Palm Springs, Elliot Cernell. Elliot had the inspiration of introducing the council member and I a while back, and we started this conversation, and she had this idea of this symposium, and it has just been a beautiful, beautiful collaboration since then. For those of you who don't know, as the council member indicated, SAGE was founded and exists to serve and advocate with and for our elders, older folks in our community. We're a national organization that was founded 41 years ago, and we have the honor and privilege of working with tremendous partners all across the country, including here locally, and including through our affiliation with Center of the Desert and the Sage of the Desert affiliations. So we're really honored for that work. I think it's especially appropriate that we're coming here together as we close out the last days of 2019. In 2019, we have celebrated and marked and remembered the 50th anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, which many see as the beginning of the modern LGBT rights movement. And so 50 years ago, as we know from our history and our community's history, in June of 1969, a group of, at the time, young people, right, who were in a bar, who were there to socialize and to find relief from the oppression and marginalization and discrimination of their era, finally had enough that night and stood up and said, no more. No more to police violence, no more to invisibility, no more to discrimination, and pushed back. And we as a community have been pushing back ever since, pushing back for our rights, for our equality, and for our full citizenship. And of course, we know that those young folks today are our elders. We know that our elders, we call our elders and folks who are of that generation the Stonewall generation, because of the bravery and the perseverance and the courage that so many folks in our community have shown through decades of challenges and difficulty and obstacles. And at SAGE, our slogan at SAGE is, we refuse to be invisible, because we believe that as we grow old, that we have earned the right to be recognized for who we are and to be treated with the respect that we deserve. And we believe at SAGE that our elders are our heroes, our pioneers, the people who have made it possible for me as a gay man to stand here with the freedoms that I have, and for all of us to continue to grow in our freedoms and how we live our lives. And we're fortunate, I think many of us here know, here in Palm Springs, that many of us as we age are thriving and having wonderful experiences and wonderful lives, as we should. And it is also the case. It is also the case that far too many of us as we age are facing quite serious challenges. Far too many of us as we age are growing old, isolated, and without the support that we need. And we know what some of that feels like and what some of those reasons are. We know that we're much less likely to be parents and have adult children than older Americans in general, and that in fact we're more likely to grow old single. And in a country where adult children and partners are the primary sources of support and care, that can be isolating, right, for us as we age. We also know, in our experience, that far too many older folks in our community are growing old without the resources they need, without the financial resources, without the support networks, and that these scenarios often create a greater need for services, for professional services, and professional care. And at the same time, far too often when we seek out those services and that care, we don't find open arms and we don't find welcoming spaces. Now, fortunately, this is a community that is on the forefront of creating those welcoming experiences in a state that is on the forefront. And even here, we still have so much work to do. And certainly across the country, we have so much work to do. We are still dealing with high levels of discrimination. A study was done 4 years ago by a national organization called the Equal Rights Center, and that study focused on to what degree is there discrimination in senior rental housing against older folks from our communities, and found through that study that across the country, 48% of LGBT older people who apply for senior rental housing are subjected to discrimination. 48%. Imagine that, and that is not just a statistic, that is real life. Some of you may have heard of the story of Mary Walsh and Bev Nance in St. Louis, and I want to lift that up as a reminder of just how much more work we need to do. Mary and Bev are a lesbian couple who've been together for more than 40 years, live in St. Louis, decided it was time to move into a continuing care retirement community. Identified one in St. Louis. It was a nice community, was affordable, was a place they wanted to live. Started going through the entire process. We're very excited about moving in. And at the very end of the process, this continuing care retirement community, which ironically is called Friendship Village, at the very end of this process, they were told that they would not be admitted because their relationship does not qualify as a biblical marriage. Right. So these are the kinds of obstacles we face, and I wish I could say that that was an isolated and rare case, but it's not, and we'll talk more about some of these other challenges as we move forward today. But having said that, as the council member indicated, we are making great progress. California, the state of California, is leading the country in terms of the adoption of legal protections and public policies that can make our lives better as we grow old, and we'll talk about that a little later today in one of the panels. Organizations like Center of the Desert and many others are providing a growing array of services and supports for older folks in our community who need that support. SAGE's national training program, which is called Sage Care, has trained thousands of elder care providers across California in how to work effectively and respectfully with folks in our community who need care. And last April, we at SAGE were very proud to announce a partnership with the Human Rights Campaign to launch something called the Long-Term Care Equality Index, which will provide essentially a rating system where we can rate long-term care providers in every community across the country and how well they are treating members of our community. So there is great progress being made, and we need to build on that progress. And that's why we're here today. That's why we're here today. As Councilmember Middleton indicated, and this is something I think we can all be so proud of, Palm Springs has been voted the most popular place for older members of our community to come and retire. And here today we have the opportunity to talk about how we can build on that success, how we can build on that success and keep on expanding the progress here so that Palm Springs continues to be a beacon for the entire rest of the country in terms of what it means to create a model LGBT age-friendly community. That's the opportunity that we have here. And you will be hearing from an amazing, amazing collection of experts in many of the topics that we'll be talking about today. It's a very, very impressive group of speakers that I'm certainly looking forward to listening to, and I know that you will be interested as well. We will have panels focused on social isolation, on HIV and aging, on what it means to have culturally competent care available to us as we age, and how we find that care, on the importance of affirming and affordable housing for us as we age, and how we ensure that housing exists and how we're able to access it, and the state of legal and policy protections for us as we grow older. So it is going to be an incredibly rich series of conversations. Our goals here, I think, are to keep building that focus on us, on our challenges as we age and how we can address them together, to exchange ideas with each other, to learn from our panelists, and to leave here today more prepared, more informed, and more energized for the work that we all can do together to ensure that our own aging experience is what we deserve as people who have lived good, long, in some cases hard lives, and deserve to have our older years truly be golden years. How we can work together to ensure that kind of life, and how we can work together as a community to make Palm Springs and every community in California, and ultimately every community in this country, a place where LGBT older folks are welcome and can find the supports and the services and the respect and the love that we deserve. So thank you very much, and I look forward to a very, very exciting set of conversations today. And with that, I'd like to introduce Hillary Meyer from SAGE, who'll be moderating the first panel on social isolation. Thank you.